My name is Heather Bacon, and I am a junior digital filmmaking major. I always knew that when I grew up, I wanted to do something creative. At first it was painting, then drawing, and then photography. I never considered filmmaking until I took a video production class in my sophomore year of high school. As cliche as it sounds, I instantly fell in love with the field and everything about it, from the writing and planning to actually shooting and editing. After being an avid movie lover my whole life, I don't know why I didn't consider this path sooner. As someone who's a very visual learner, the idea of being able to get your ideas across to somebody without using any words was very ideal to me. I realized almost immediately that I wanted to pursue this in the future. I became a communications student in order to create visually stunning pieces of film and video for others to enjoy. My goal in life is to create works that inspire and challenge others to do what they love. Even if I can persuade one person through my work, then I will consider myself successful.
Every summer when I was a kid, my mom would buy me a summer journal. Every week, I had to write at least one page in this journal. I could write about anything I wanted, it just had to be at least one page long. So, naturally, I told stories. Some of them were made up, some of them actually happened, but nonetheless, they were stories. And this is where my passion for storytelling began. As I grew older, I learned that storytelling is a skill that can be applied to more than just my summer journals. Once I began engaging with the media, I saw storytelling everywhere, in the way that news was presented, in the way companies advertised their products, and even in the way individuals portrayed their lives on social media. I quickly realized that telling a story is the best way to engage an audience, and this realization is ultimately what led me to become a communication major. The School of Communication has sophisticated my storytelling skills, providing me with tools to successfully share a message with an audience. As a communication major, I have enhanced my writing skills as well as my public speaking abilities. I look forward to continuing my education as a Lambda Pi Eta member and will forever be grateful for the passion those journals inspired all those summers ago.
When junior year of high school came and college talk started becoming the thing everybody was talking about, I felt pressured to know what it was I wanted to study. The problem was I didn't know. I had zero clue. I was really into Grey's Anatomy at the time and figured, oh, well, I know I love helping people and love talking, so I feel like nursing is for me. So then that was it. Every time somebody asked me what I was going to do for college, my answer was nursing, despite the fact that the sight of blood makes me weak and I hate hospitals. After touring Endicott, meeting with some faculty, and discussing all of the various majors offered, I realized there were many other options that fit my interest. Marketing communications felt perfect. I still had no idea what it was I specifically wanted to do, but I loved the fact that in this major, I could highlight my attributes of communicating with others and being creative. It was also a plus that there was in fact no blood involved. Freshman year, learning what marketing comm was all about made me confident that I was in the right major. Marketing communications uses many different media channels to communicate a message to a particular market. I became fascinated with how social media has been used in recent years to send desired messages to customers. I also became interested in being able to promote products for companies. There are so many different paths you can take within marketing communications, and I love that it's a great platform to go onto to do a variety of things. After completing an internship with a nonprofit organization, I realized that I enjoyed the hands-on aspect of marketing communications. I have a passion for sports and would love to promote products and create different marketing strategies for athletic brands. I plan to do my semester-long internship with an athletic brand such as New Balance or Puma.
One of the greatest sources of happiness throughout my life has been helping and setting a good example for others. I have been fortunate enough to fulfill this passion through various leadership roles, such as being the captain of my varsity volleyball team in high school, working as a resident assistant and orientation leader, as well as a peer tutor. I love working in a collaborative environment, as I believe we can learn something from every individual we come into contact with. Marketing is all about conveying a good message and the values of a brand. I've always found the field of communication advertising very interesting, as you're able to create content through the perspective of both the producer and consumer. It is imperative that a brand's marketing strategy emotionally appeals and resonates with its target audience. Likewise, it is through marketing that a brand has an opportunity to set a good example for others. I decided to study marketing, communication, and advertising because I want to work for a company that can help have a positive impact on others. I want to work in a fast-paced environment that will not only make work enjoyable, but rewarding as well. Whether it be through a compelling campaign or a catchy slogan, I want to create content that others will remember.
When I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I had no idea what I wanted to study in college. Since I always enjoyed watching HGTV with my mom and decorating, I decided to major in interior design when I first applied to Endicott College. After attending summer orientation in 2018, however, I realized that was not the right path for me. I felt lost and terrified about my future, but one day when I was flipping through Endicott's course programs book, I came across a School of Communication. The more I read about each major and the classes offered, I got excited learning about how diverse and creative the field of communication can be. Before I knew it, I called up my advisor and requested to switch my major to marketing, communication, and advertising. I decided to become a marketing communication major because I not only want to help improve business for companies that I care about, but I also want to help consumers be informed about brands with products and services that could benefit them and make their lives better. I want to be able to use my creativity and exercise my strong work ethic to help bring excitement and progress to the field of communication. And with Endicott College's outstanding communications program, I know I can.
I started writing because of David Fincher's movie, based off the beginning of Facebook, The Social Network. In high school, I loved movies, TV shows, and everything about the entertainment industry. But none of my friends in high school wanted to hear me talk about movies. So I started writing all my thoughts on every film as I watched every weekend during my junior and senior years of high school. I then chose to continue my writing on more than just the early 2000s generational defining movie as a digital media major with a concentration in digital journalism in the School of Communication at Endicott College. When I got to Endicott, what I quickly learned in my classes was a strong connection between journalism and politics. It takes the three pillars of the news media, government, and citizens or consumers to uphold democracy. I started taking politics classes simultaneously with my digital media classes and gained a new empowerment that I could understand and participate in politics through my understanding of media and culture. I then decided to major in digital media with a concentration in digital journalism as well as a minor in political science. Instead of just critiquing movies, I could do much more, like making the connection between how viewers of The Social Network watch Mark Zuckerberg's coming-of-age story, and with that view of him made him a sympathetic character to get him to where he is now, as a man with significant influence in our democracy. There will only be more relationships between media and government to be made as the lines blur between entertainment and politics, and I want to be the one making those connections.
I grew up in a middle-class New England family, where we had weeks where some nights our dinner would be steak and a baked potato, and other nights it'd be a bologna and cheese sandwich. A lot of the time we struggled financially and went without a lot of things. But at the time, I don't think I really ever noticed that we were going without. I had a loving family, great friends, and my TV in my room with a box full of VHSs and DVDs and an old laptop that ran on Windows XP that sat on my desk. I didn't need anything else but that. I felt content with what I had. And from a young age, I've always found joy in television and video in general, and found myself particularly drawn to shows like The Nanny, The Muppet Show, and Gilligan's Island. I'd spend my time on YouTube binge-watching old interview specials of the great journalist Barbara Walters, and trying to learn as much around the world as I could through her. I was fascinated with how Barbara could make connections with so many people and gain their trust all within a single interview. As I got older, I got involved with local theater companies and discovered my love for production. It always excited me that I had an opportunity to help create a story on stage that could allow the audience some sort of escape from their stressful everyday lives. I participated in the television production program of my high school and volunteered all 4 years of high school at our community television station. All of these experiences led me to understand the direction that I needed to go, to have a mix of all the things that I love as a part of my career. I decided to pursue a degree within the School of Communications. I believe that pursuing a degree in digital media with a concentration in filmmaking, with a minor in digital journalism, try saying that 10 times fast, is the route that will help me in finding my dream career in film or television. Through the resources offered through the college and the knowledge of all of our professors, I've been able to find what things I do like and which I don't in the industry. I would also like to say that I'm extremely thankful for my parents and my sister, for whom I would not even be here doing something that I love without their support.
I became a marketing, communication, and advertising major because I grew up with a passion for creativity and collaboration with others. I have a passion for writing and welcomed writing papers as opposed to taking exams in high school, which directed me towards a writing-heavy major. It may sound weird, but I am happy to say that I have continued to write a lot of papers in college and still enjoy doing so. While I'm not certain where I will take my communication degree upon graduation, I welcome the diversity of job opportunities in my field of study. In my time at Endicott, I have developed my writing and communication skills and have become a peer writing tutor at Endicott College. I credit my courses at Endicott in allowing me to further develop my writing skills into a potential career. I hope to work in the entertainment industry in some capacity and look forward to the future internship and job opportunities I will have as a result of my time at Endicott. As a marketing, communication, and advertising major, I embrace the opportunity to work with the ever-changing media landscape. The field of communication has strong ties to social media and technology, and as we see today during this global pandemic, the way we work is changing. No matter how the working world changes, I know that deciding to study marketing, communication, and advertising at Endicott College was the right decision and will position me to be successful in my future endeavors. Thank you.
If I were to be honest, while I was growing up, I used to always say that I wanted to be a chef. While I had a deep love for writing, I was dead set on going into the culinary arts. But this all changed when I was in 8th grade. I was put into an extra gym class and I absolutely hated it. And in order for me to leave the class, I needed to take up a year-long project. The project that my school assigned to me was to create an introductory video that welcomed the incoming class of 6th graders. I had to create the script, the video, and the idea with a group of my peers, and I completely fell in love with the process. I was able to use my writing skills to create something that was going to help others. Not only did it feel great to be able to help people with what we were doing, but it was also a ton of fun. To this day, I'm still close to the kids I worked with for that project. It was then when I decided that I wanted to go into filmmaking in hopes that I could create more things that might be able to help someone in ways that films have helped me. I'm a comm major in order to be able to create films that tell stories that people can relate to and fall in love with, the same way that I fell in love with filmmaking.
I feel as though my entire life I've been warned about the dangers of the media. Although it continues to be a growingly prominent part of our everyday lives, it also seems to come with an increasingly large warning label, cautioning about the dangers of fake news, mental illness that can come as a result of social media, the polarizing effects of biased information, and so on. Just recently, I've watched documentaries about the dangers of social media, written essays cautioning audiences about misinformation, and learned through examples about how media of all kinds can fuel moral panics. I myself have even developed negative opinions about some of the intentions and companies behind a lot of the media we see today. However, I became a communication major not to learn more about these dangers the media presents to the world, but because I see the good in it amidst the bad. Throughout my time as a communications major at Endicott College, I have understood how, yes, the power of the media has over audiences is incredible and has some negative outcomes. But that power can and has also been used to unite people and spread good around the world. There are numerous examples of media uniting people who have never would have otherwise met and rallying support for social justice. I believe that with the right minds guiding it, the media as we know it can be used to create a digital environment where everyone can and wants to belong. I'm not arguing that all media is completely beneficial to society, and I realize that there have been some major problems, for example, with the way that populations have been polarized because of the media. But I decided to be a communication major because I also see the media's potential in all forms to be a general good that can bring about entertainment, spread awareness, and generate happiness among this new digital age. I am in this field because I want to represent that change, not what people see it as today, but what it can represent in the future.
As a kid, I always loved watching movies and TV. As I got older, I would research the movies I watched to learn more about how they were made. In high school, I took TV production classes and loved them. I grew to become one of the producers for the annual auction run by the high school studio. I transferred to Endicott because I wanted to continue to pursue my passion for digital media and filmmaking. I've always been a very shy person. I realized that making movies was a way to tell stories, even with a quiet personality. As a digital media major with a concentration in filmmaking, I'm learning how to find and create the best stories. There's inspiration everywhere, and I want to help others to tell their stories. As a teenager, I loved watching the History Channel, and this trend continued as I got older. I want to work for a studio making historical documentaries. I want to capture moments in time and show them to the rest of the world. I think it is important to tell stories, both when they're happening and after, to give perspective on an issue. Most importantly, as a communications major, I want to help others by telling the powerful stories and showing the world why they are important.
At a young age, I decided that I want to make an impact. While the exact trajectory of my path was uncertain, I knew that I wanted to do great things and leave the world a better place than I had found it. I'm a proud second-generation American. My grandmother was born and raised in a small village in Greece. When she was my age, she left the only life she had known to move to the United States and try her hand at achieving the American dream. A large part of her dream was giving her children and her grandchildren the opportunities that she simply was not afforded back home. Years ago, I took on the mentality that her sacrifice should not be made in vain, and thus should seize any and every opportunity it made available to me. I've always dreamed big because I recognize that the sacrifices made for me are substantial. I have never sought out fame, notoriety, or even substantial financial success. Instead, measured success based on my personal happiness and the impact that I have on others. When I was about 5 years old, I made the decision that I wanted to be a journalist. In the mornings growing up, my parents would not necessarily put on cartoons or children's shows. Instead, the news often played in the background as we ate breakfast and got ready for school. Each morning, I would watch Meredith Vieira, Katie Couric, and other strong female journalists deliver the news to millions of Americans who tuned in. They traveled the world, interviewed some of the most interesting and notable people, and laughed with their co-hosts in between serious stories. That quickly became the life I had envisioned for myself. In elementary school, I understood journalists to be the bridge between us, the audience, and the change-making people in our society. Fast forward to grade school, and my dream of becoming a journalist was just as strong. It was around this time that I discovered my love and passion for storytelling. It had taken me years to overcome my shyness, which was beyond debilitating for so much of my life. I was shy and felt too scared and timid to share my own story with others. For years, I stared at the ground and limited my answers to 1 or 2 words. It was not until I was in 4th grade when I was given my first opportunity to tell the story of someone else. We were assigned a current events project where we would have to deliver to the rest of the class. I scoured the internet for the perfect story, carefully crafted the report word by word, and then spent days practicing it in front of my parents and grandparents. And finally, on the day of my presentation, I stood proudly in front of my class to deliver the project. I quickly fell in love with the entire process, the research, the preparation, and most of all, the delivery. I not only uncovered my passion, but it simultaneously solidified my dream of becoming a journalist. Today, my understanding of the role of a journalist, both in society and in the health of our democracy, has become far more sophisticated. Journalists assume the role of the fourth estate, keeping politicians and other public figures accountable, relay important information to citizens, and even play a huge part in the healing process of the ordinary people who have experienced the extraordinary. As my understanding of this job has deepened, so has my passion for it. Pursuing a career as a journalist has become the way in which I intend to make my impact and leave my mark.
I have always had an overwhelming attachment to writing. Growing up, I used to write books and poems for my family and friends. Typically, those stories involved true happenings around my house that I would report on. I still have notebooks filled with story ideas. During my junior year of high school, my parents and I began having the college talk. I knew I loved to write and learn about the world, so I let that lead me. My mom was the one who discovered Endicott. It met all my needs. 2-ish hours away, near a city but not an inner city school, small, and with a journalism major option. After multiple visits, I fell in love with Endicott, and I started in the fall of 2018 as a digital journalism major. What's special about my major is that I can tell a story beautifully in multiple ways. I can put together a podcast or a multimedia article, tell a story through photos and audio, and I know how to tell that story truthfully. Journalists get a lot of flack, but I believe it is one of the most challenging and crucial occupations. Every part of a story involves collaboration, communication, and ambition. As journalists, we hold people and ourselves accountable, and we learn to continually question the world we live in. When I think about what makes my life special, I think about my perpetual sense of curiosity that I carry with me wherever I go. Being a journalist allows me to turn that curiosity into beautiful stories that can either help or educate those I coexist with.